This episode, nice guys finish last. Welcome to the Grand Affidavit. He is Grant.
He's David.
And this episode, we're finally going to get around to some stuff that we've never finished. And we probably maybe never will finish it, but we're going to talk about it anyways. All sorts of different stuff, really. Things we started and never finished.
But now if we talk about them, then people are going to steal them from us.
Well,
and finish them.
I mean, I'm talking about things I've mainly started watching or started reading and never finished.
Oh, okay. Then I won't talk about the other stuff then.
No, you can. You can.
No.
You can talk about whatever you want.
No.
Because
They'll
I
steal
think
it from me.
I feel like we've talked about one of these ideas before. Anyways, this one actually just came up recently in a Facebook conversation with someone. So this is kind of a bit of a throwback to whatever this is episode that I was on with you guys, you and Mr. Kyle Marshall, and where I talked about, at that time it was Usual Suspects. I'd started it and never finished it, right? And I owned it and I'd never finished it over all this time. Another movie that I own that I have started and never finished. Now, this one I don't know if I'll go back and finish it. You'll either say yes or no. So, this all is weighing on your shoulders. But Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
See, and that was my thought, because watching it, I'm like, this is actually kind of boring. I had a lot of people say I should watch it, and I own it. I don't know how or why I own it, but I do.
Did you steal it from somebody?
I'm assuming it was a similar situation to The Usual Suspects, where someone lent it to me. And if you lend me something that I'm not asking you to lend me, as in I want to watch it right now, I probably am not going to watch it for a long time.
Was it a DVD or a Blu-ray?
It's a DVD.
Then it might have been me.
No, I don't think it was you. Like I want to say you'd already moved away. I think it was the same guy who lent me The Usual Suspects, because I believe he lent me that. No,
I was talking about The Usual Suspects that I might have lent.
Oh, that you lent? No, you didn't lend me The Usual Suspects. I know who lent me The Usual Suspects.
Oh, okay.
However, Benjamin Button, I may have actually purchased out of like the Walmart like $5 DVD bin. I may have bought it out of there at one point in time.
It's worth it if you like visual effects.
Because I had another Brad Pitt movie that I started and never finished. What was the one where he plays Death? Meet Joe Black. Is that what it's called?
Black,
Yeah. So that movie, it's the guy who lent me Usual Suspects also let me Meet Joe Black, and I never finished it.
Yeah, I would never buy Meet Joe Black.
Something to do with Brad Pitt movies, I guess. Outside of Usual Suspects, obviously, but Benjamin Button and Meet Joe Black. But yeah, was never able to. And I mean, those are two that I've never been like, I should go back and finish that. But I do have some things where I'm like, I really actually want to finish that. But do you have one?
Do I have one? Well, recently I started watching Live by Night, and then the projector broke down, and then I was like, I'm just gonna leave the movie theater. Give me a coupon, I'm leaving. Because I was like, this is not worth it. I think the wait probably would have been it'd probably only be a few minutes, but if you want to leave, that's fine. I'm like, I'm leaving. Movie sucks.
This movie sucks. I'm not coming back. So
yeah.
So that's something you don't plan on going back and finishing.
No.
I
mean, eventually, if it's on HBO and it's the middle of the night,
right? I get you.
Yeah.
I can't remember which movie we went to see, but I went to a movie theater once, and we were sitting down for this movie, and all of a sudden, it's like, put on your 3D glasses, and we're like, what? Why? We're not going to a 3D, and this was like a movie before like 3D movies were a big thing, so it was like the real gimmicky 3D movie sort of deal. Put on your 3D glasses. I'm like, oh, what? And then all of a sudden, about 2 minutes later, Spy Kids 3D starts playing. And we're like, what? This is not... And everybody in the theater is just like, whoop, up and out. I'm like, nope, not happening. I can't remember what movie it was we went to see, but we did end up going and sitting back down, because it wasn't like we were, halfway through the movie and then all of a sudden something broke down. We're like, this is crap. But I really wish I could remember which movie it was we were seeing. and how it was and if I liked it. Obviously, I didn't like it that much because I remembered the flub at the beginning more than the movie itself. So something else that I've started and never finished. Now, this is one where at multiple times I've been like, I need to go back and finish this. I don't know how much you read, Grant. Do you read very often?
Reading's for poor people.
Exactly. My thoughts exactly. But the book 1984. I have
George Orwell, yes.
Yeah, by George Orwell. I have started that book I don't know how many times. And it's not like I've been like, because when I read something, if I don't finish it, that first time through, and I come back to it later, I need to start from the beginning. I'm like, okay, I want to remember everything that's going on, right? I want to try and pick up and put the pieces together. So that book I've started multiple times, and it's not like I get like, maybe a quarter of the way through the book. I'm usually over halfway through the book. So now it's this thing where I'm like, oh, I want to read it. In fact, I took it to work because I was like, oh, I have time to read at work at times. I'm going to take it to work and I'm going to read it. Except it's so daunting because I'm like, yeah, but I'm already over halfway done this book. Should I just go from there? Or should I just start from the beginning? I used to own the movie, so I know the story is the problem now too. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Not a very good movie if you ask me. But anyways, that's something that has plagued me for years because I'm pretty sure I bought that book when I was in high school or just out of high school. Which, of course, for those listening who don't know, Grant, you and I, we graduated in 2002. So that's a while ago that I've been trying to work on reading this book. And it's not even that big of a book.
Yeah, my book that I haven't finished is very similar. And I've started it and I've not gotten halfway through. I've gotten 15, 20 pages in, and then I forget about it. And then I come back and I'm like, I don't remember anything about those 15 and 20 pages. But it's Cosmic Banditos by Alan Weisbecker.
Huh. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, it was recommended by John Cusack.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it was recommended by somebody else too. And then I bought it. I just bought it blindly. Here, I'll read you the back of the book. Mr. Quark is a down-on-his-luck pot smuggler hiding out in the mountains of Colombia with his dog, High Pockets, and a small band of banditos led by a irascible Jose. Only months before, these three and their fearless associates were rolling in millions of cash in high-grade marijuana, eluding prosecution on ridiculously false drug and terrorism charges. But times have quickly grown lean, and to liven up their exile, Jose decides to mug a family of American tourists.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah, that's something. That reminds me of a song. What is that song? It's from the 90s.
Screaming Infidelities?
No, we were talking off air about that song, though. About how Aaron Paul is in the music video for that song.
Well, that's where that came from in my brain.
I know. I'm trying to figure out something here. Oh, yeah, the Refreshments Banditos. Do you remember that song?
It sounds familiar, yeah.
Let's see. Oh, there we go. Lyrics. Good old Google. I want to make sure I get the lyrics right. I think that was a song. I'm sure that was a song. So just how far down you want to go? We could talk it out over a cup of joe. Remember that song?
Well, you're doing it horribly.
Like I was a supermodel. Uh-huh.
I'm just pulling up the YouTube video.
I'm wondering if it's a song based on, when was that book written?
Okay, hand.
So I got the pistols.
Here we go. I got it. How far down do you want to go? A cup of joe. Could have been in my eyes like you was a supermodel. Uh-huh. Do.
Okay, you know what's great, though? Is two of the last 3 episodes have featured Grant singing. We've done it. Dreams are becoming realities.
Well, on the other podcast, whatever this is, I did. I talked about how horrible it was. There was a hip hop radio station came to my high school in California once.
Yeah.
And the host of the radio show was like, which one of you guys know how to rap? And this little tiny like waif thin white girl goes up there and she's like, chickadee China, the Chinese chicken, have your chicken, your brain stops sticking, watching X-Files with the lights on, with all the maze on, I hope the smoking man is in this one. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is so embarrassing for my school. Because Bare Naked Ladies is the epitome of hip-hop.
Oh man, I mean, that's okay. That's fair. That's fair. But you've never finished that. You know, one book that I'm pretty sure you did finish because I lent it to you and I eventually got it back, which I was surprised. It was High Fidelity. Speaking of John Cusack.
Yeah, I've read I've read a few Nick Hornby books.
Yeah, as have I. You know what I've discovered about Nick Hornby? For a little while, I said, "Oh, he's probably my favorite." Just like pick up and read author. Except, I would say the majority of his books that I've read, like, have no ending. All of a sudden, the book just ends. You know, there's no real conclusion. It's just kind of like, oh, and it's over. This book is done now.
I like those stories, though. You jump into a life, and then you jump out of a life.
I suppose it just I don't know. It just kind of feels weird. I've read a couple of his books. I mean, High Fidelity was one, obviously. I read How to Be Good. How to Be Good was the biggest one, where you felt like there's this story that was coming that was going to finish, and then it just doesn't.
Well, the great thing is I just don't remember it. I know that I read Fever Pitch, I read High Fidelity, I read The Long Way Down, and I read another one that I can't remember off the top of my head. It's a one word.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. I read Juliet Naked, which was pretty good too, but I feel like that one also, in the end, was just kind of like, it's like about this, girl who meets this musician that she absolutely loves. He released this album, convinces him to release like these raw versions of this song, and you feel like this relationship's going to develop or something's going to happen. It reminded me, I guess, in a sense, very much like the story from the movie Once, where you feel like something's going to happen, and then it just ends up being, we just literally watched this band come together, create an album, and then go their own separate ways.
And it sounds like Begin Again, which is also by the same guy that directed Once.
Interesting.
Very interesting. And you think these two people are going to get together, and spoiler alert, they don't.
They don't. That's happening. I just want a movie that ends with a nice, happy ending, all right?
So I was working on a script once, and it was about this guy committed a mortal sin. You can speculate whatever you want which mortal sin it was. And then he is forced into he was pressed into service to become a reaper of souls. So the beginning of the movie basically is him, almost a montage of him. Well, no, it's not a montage, but he wakes up in a pool of blood, and then you realize it's all his blood, but he's still alive, and that's a lot of blood.
Right.
So basically, whenever he gets really down, he tries to kill himself, but it doesn't work out. And the whole process of him trying to find his way down to the person that is in charge of the Reapers.
Yeah.
And free himself. But the thing is he is when he's dispensed to other places where there's a death going to be happening, he just basically teleports there without any warning.
Right.
So his idea of time and space is all jacked up because he's basically been teleporting all over the place for, who knows how long, Groundhog Day how long,
Right.
So I have a whole bunch of notes on that. I have a whole little notebook, not notebook, but a note card container filled with cards of ideas, different colored cards for different aspects of like the different levels of plot, A plot, C plot, B plot.
Right.
And all that stuff.
I appreciate that you understand the alphabet. A plot, C plot, B plot.
And then I have character cards and all this stuff, So it's a very, standard story that people have. Somebody committed something they regret. They become immortal. They can never love anybody. They fall in love with somebody. They want to break their curse. And then they fight to break the curse and then end up living out the rest of their life with the person they chose to.
Isn't that like what the movie City of Angels is about?
Well, no, that he gets hit by a car and Meg Ryan's in it.
I just remember that, was it John Travolta? Is that who's in that movie?
No, Nicolas Cage, but
Nicolas
same thing.
Cage, that's
almost
right.
the same thing.
Almost the same thing. What was John Travolta played an angel in a movie?
Michael.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I'm confusing two movies. Because I was thinking the angel in the City of Angels was Michael.
Yeah, in City of Angels, he cuts off his wings, right? To become mortal.
Which one had Goo Goo Dolls' Iris in it?
That would be City of Angels.
Yeah, okay. See, I'm all over the place.
Well, I'm trying to spoil the ending for you.
That's fine. You could spoil the ending for me. Is it the exact same as the ending of Dogma? I'm imagining so. Angels cutting off wings.
Well, no, he cuts off his wings to marry and live the rest of his life out with... because he asked advice of Dennis. You know Dennis Franz?
Sure.
He showed his butt on ABC, and it was a huge deal.
My kind of guy.
Anyways, he was another angel that purposely fell to Earth
Right.
because of love. And so Nicolas Cage has to fall to Earth to get rid of his wings. And then when he's on his way to get to Meg Ryan, he gets hit by a bus or whatever. The end.
The end. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That is great. And he's dead. I like it. I was hoping he was going to go on and live this life with her, and he just always has to figure out how to hide these, like, remember what the wings look like in Dogma when
Yeah, the bloody,
like, Matt
bloody,
Damon-
squirty
these bloody
stumps.
stumps, and he's just got to figure out how to hide these things all the time. No going to the pool for that guy. He's always got to wear like shoulder pads. I suppose he was lucky. That was like when did that movie come out? Mid-90s?
Which one, Dogma or City of Angels?
City of Angels.
I think they came out around the same time, so mid-90s,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if shoulder pads are really still much of a thing.
Well, for men, I think
Big suit jackets.
I think shoulder pads for men and women basically were done in the 80s, early 90s.
Right. Well, I mean, whatever. We actually had something that we started working on back in the day that we never finished.
While
something
we
started
drove
and never
around and talked about nothing.
finished. in your truck. Yeah. Well, while we did this podcast, before podcasts were a thing, in your truck.
Yeah, in the Ranger.
Was it your Ranger? Yeah, I guess it was
Yeah.
your Ranger. Yeah. Eating A&W.
Oh,
Matzo
burger, extra sauce.
Oh man, Grant always with the extra sauce.
I would come down here and there was a few A&Ws around, and I'd go in there and be like, "Can I have a matzo burger?" And they're like, "What are you talking about, man?"
What is a matzo burger? Do you not have mozzarella cheese?
Thanks for listening to The Grand Affidavit, a podcast about nothing and everything at the same time. Follow us on Twitter at Grand Affidavit and on Facebook at facebook.com/Grand Affidavit.
Yeah.